Hi, in this video we're going to talk about reasons for potassium deficiencies and how to reverse it naturally. Hi, I'm Dr. Joe with 2 Minutes to Better Health. Well, in our last video we talked about the number of different deficiency symptoms that a person can experience, anything from heart symptoms to muscle spasms to all sorts of neurological situations. So if you have a deficiency, what do you do to try to reverse it? Well, let's find out a little bit more about that right now. Well, first of all, you have to understand that the average American needs around 3,500 to 4,700 milligrams per day of potassium. Now that's far more than calcium at around 1,200 milligrams and magnesium at about 400 milligrams. So we can see the importance of it. It's almost 4 times that of magnesium needed by the body. So it's very likely that in many cases people will find themselves deficient in it. So first of all, not enough vegetables. Most people do not consume enough vegetables. We're going to see in a few moments foods that are rich in that. That's the number one reason why people would be deficient in it. 2, medications, diuretics, things like that. People need to control blood pressure and things like that. Each of them may have a side effect and in many cases will pull certain minerals, especially potassium, out of the body. 3, antibiotics. It is obviously a medication, but it has very specific direct effects on potassium and other minerals when it's consumed. Excessive sweating. Obviously, people like to exercise. Some people just sweat a lot, maybe they're hot all the time, but that sweat has, a lot of health benefits to it by getting rid of toxins, but with it also goes many minerals, and potassium is one of those. Diarrhea. So any, short or long cases of that could be very significant and be one of the fastest ways a person can have significant decrease in potassium levels. So if a person is sick, even for a few days with that, you definitely want to talk to your doctor about that because sometimes you need to get some electrolytes put into IV. Illness or vomiting. So another way that body might get rid of a lot of things quickly is in illness situations. Constipation. Okay, actually, if a person's constipated, they may not be absorbing minerals very well either. So if that occurs, then you may be consuming potassium, but it may not be crossing through the necessary channels to get into the system because all of that impacted feces in the bowels. Magnesium deficiency. So other minerals do affect potassium. So it's not just consuming potassium. Everything should be done in balance. Potassium, magnesium, calcium, phosphorus, all these different minerals, iodine, they all work together. Stress. Okay, stress is bad for everything. Stress depletes minerals. It uses them more than it would. It's like an engine revving is going to use more gasoline than it would when it's idling. When your body is revving because of stress, it's going to burn through those minerals. So no matter how much you eat, you may not absorb it well and you will lose more of it as well. High sugar and carbs, definitely one of the biggest reasons for people. When you consume sugar and processed carbs, they're void of nutrients. They will strip minerals, they will strip vitamins, they will strip enzymes out of your body. Potassium is definitely one of those things. Plus, if you're eating a lot of those, you're not eating lots of fruits and vegetables, so that's a big thing. Abnormal heartbeat, okay? Now that's one of the symptoms that we talked about that, but if a person is sick, just like we talked about with illness, if a person has abnormal symptoms, okay, their body's going to be burning through those as well. So realize when you have those symptoms, okay, that's definitely one of those things that you may experience a decrease further of the thing that caused the problem to begin with. Okay, anxiety is another one. That's stress being amplified. So when a person's anxious all the time, they're going to find themselves constantly depleting these minerals. Okay, high sodium consumption is another thing. So when people consume large amounts of sodium, you have to realize that can be what many people say is the cause of high blood pressure, but it's not that usually sodium is too high, it's that potassium is too low for high blood pressure. But because of the ratio, the sodium to potassium balance, excessive amounts of sodium consumption, processed foods and carbs will cause an excess level of one and therefore a deficiency in the ratio of potassium to sodium. So understand that. So here are specific food sources. Here's the source of where we got this information from. But realize that many people say, okay, I'm low on potassium. I'm going to eat a banana. All right. 400 milligrams. You need about 10 to 12 of those a day to get enough potassium for one day. That's a lot of sugar. That would be like the equivalent of eating half a pound or a pound of sugar. Don't do that. So there's many other good sources. Beet greens, for instance, they're fantastic for the liver and gallbladder, but 900 plus milligrams per serving. 1 or 2 servings of that, and you got halfway to your total daily need. Some yams, pinto beans, white potatoes, okay? Not a huge fan because of the starch, but yes, it does have some of that in it. Portobello mushrooms, avocado, the darling of healthcare. We love avocados. 1 avocado a day is a great way to push yourself in the direction towards a pretty good chunk of that potassium you need. Sweet potatoes, yams, they are slightly different, so realize that. So when you buy, maybe you want to go more towards the yams. Spinach, okay, great amounts. Kale, fantastic. So a good sized salad with some spinach, some kale, some beet greens thrown into that, you might get 3 or 4 servings of that in one salad. thus getting about half of your daily needs of potassium. Throw in some avocado, you're well on your way. Salmon, throw that on for the protein, pushing your way up there. Let's nix the bananas and peas as well. So look up other sources of potassium-rich foods. You'll find there's some that are great and others that are very low, and try to avoid those, of course. But ultimately, these are some of the great sources. Definitely one thing people may think to want to do is to supplement with potassium. The challenge is most potassium supplements don't have very large amounts in it. Around 99 milligrams is the average amount. So you would need about 40 pills per day of that supplement to get the sufficient amount. So we still encourage mostly the food sources of this. If you need to, slight amounts of supplementation. There is some concern of excessive amount of potassium taken through supplementation that it can cause a reverse of symptoms, even causing heart symptoms and things like that. So be cautious if you are using it. If you are going to, don't just take a specific potassium-only product. It should be in a blend or whole food complex, preferably, because that's where these sources come from. They're the best way. So hope this is helpful. Go back and watch the symptoms of potassium deficiency video if you did not see that. Otherwise, a lot of this may not make sense. You don't even know if you have it. I encourage you to watch that. So thanks again for tuning in today. We'll see you in a future video.